Good morning, I hope you're keeping really well. I'm going to do like a really simple glowy makeup today using mostly creams. You know how I was harping on the other day about how it's so important to wash your makeup brushes? Well, I haven't washed any of mine this week and I'm on the last legs of my brushes. So I'm actually just going to use some things that are really better to use with your hands, because depending on what you're using, it can really vary whether you're going to get the best finish with a brush or not. So I thought I'd show you a few little techniques for if you are going in with your hands, some of the best things to use. Now, as you can see, I'm really quite red today. I had a couple of drinks last night and that's just kind of the outcome. So what I'm going to do is use a nice full coverage base to cover it, but then use some creamy blush and creamy highlighter and things like that to give the illusion that I'm not wearing as much coverage. Now, one of the things that I only learned recently, and I feel like how has no one taught me this tip before now, is if you keep the end of your nose quite makeup free, it cheats the illusion that you haven't got much makeup on. And actually, by the same mark, let's just say, you know, in time from now, when we're back in the pub and everywhere we want to be, if you go to the bathroom and you're looking at yourself thinking, where's all my makeup gone? If you just touch up that centre of the face, it makes the whole face look polished again. So what I'm going to do is load on the base, let's be honest. And then in a minute, I'm going to use my bronzer and a few things to cheat that there's hardly anything on there. Now, one of the things that I'd just like to emphasise, because I'm so pink today, I know you can't see the amount of pressure I'm using. I barely touch the skin as much as I can. Like, I try and use as soft of a touch as possible, because if I go in too hard, I'm just going to take off what I'm trying to build and you're not going to cover anything. And also, kind of what I'm doing here, you could even gently, I've got a little bit left that I can play with, just pat some extra coverage on where you need it. And again, barely touch that skin and it's going to do you the world of good. I've got a tissue here to just wipe things off because I'm going to go in with my hands a lot. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a little minute. I mean, I'm not gonna, they say this thing at Cosmetics, it's time to look in the mirror and see what's right. So I'm not gonna comment on my hair today, how's that? I'm gonna go in with this Trinny London creamy shadow. I'm gonna start going in just with my finger and then I'll have a little look. I might buff out the edge with a brush. Now, a lot of the time, especially with creams, I actually think you get a bit of a better finish with your finger. And if you were using a brush, I would always say use a clean brush to blend. And it's kind of the same with this. So once you've got a finger to apply, stick to that one finger and then get another finger ready that's clean to do your blending around the edge. Now, another thing that I'm gonna try and make an effort to do is just play around with my eye colours a bit. So if you've got a particular colour that you want to see, like how do you do an orange, or how do you do a whatever it might be, just give me the idea and I'll work through. I did a green last week, if you haven't seen that one yet, and green's probably my personal least favourite colour and I ended up loving it. So sometimes it's quite nice to just go out of your comfort zone a bit, isn't it? Okay, so with a clean ring finger, I'm just blending out the edge of that. And then, I'm trying to keep it cool here, but when I opened that powder, it had smashed. So I've got a bit of cleaning up to do when we're finished. Anyway, nice bit of a smudgy eye on. I'm gonna just, because it's Saturday morning and why not, I'm going to put a little bit of loose glitter over the top of that. Just, I want this look to be really luminous, and what's going to make it pop more than a touch of glitter. So I've picked up, that's some Peaches pigment on kind of a soft fluffy brush. And I'm just going to press that over the top while everything is still creamy. And it's just giving it a little extra bit of something. If you haven't used the Peaches pigments before, I cannot recommend them enough. Like, I've used everyone's pigments and glitters and all the rest of it, and you won't get a finish like you get from the Peaches pigments. They are the very best. Okay, just gonna build up a little brow. I've been over tweezing these brows, so I'm gonna put a little bit of pencil through them. However, I don't want them to look too done either. I almost want everything to be nice and soft today. So once I've put a little bit of pigment through them, I'm just gonna take like a clear gloss and buff them up. But you can do that with soap and water. You could just do it with any, you know, clean brush that you've got like this. Maybe you have an old mascara that you could clean the wand of. They'll all do the same job. Lovely. This is the one that I seem to have gone to town on in my plucking. So I want to make sure I've built that out, but also brushing it through just helps it to look like natural hair and not like you've drawn your brows on, which is the kind of look I want to go for today. Okay. I'm now going to just go back to my complexion because I'm thinking, oh, it looks very plain, but it won't. You can hear me dropping everything. Once I've done a few tweaks here. So I'm going in with the Ford Shade and Illuminate Bronzer. And I'm just going to pat this where I want a little bit more bronze and shape. Going in at the end of that nose. So I'm taking that along. I'm going to have to check the mirror. When I'm doing these videos, I look in the phone. And then afterwards, I look in the mirror and think, I should have been looking in there, because sometimes the light is so bright that I miss little patches. So if I have, forgive me, because the light on this mirror is really bright. But also, one thing I'd always recommend if you do have one of these mirrors with the lights on, I'm also by a window. So before I actually went anywhere, I would always check it in the window, in the natural light, because that makes such a difference. Like, it can look fine here, and then when you're actually walking about, you can think, how have I done that? And I don't even realise I've done it. Now I'm going to go in with a Tata Harper Cheek Tint. This is a cream. I'm going to try, no, I was going to pick up a brush, and then I keep thinking, you've just said you're going to use your hands for everything. So I'm just going to pat that round really gently to just give a little bit of a cheek tint, because you know how red I am. The last thing I want is to emphasise it, but equally it just gives a nice flush. Because I've knocked out the redness where I don't want it, I do want to pop in a little nice bit of colour where would feel good. Now, before I build my highlighter, I want to show you where I'm going to go put in my powder. I'm going in with a translucent powder here on a little small fluff. Anywhere around here is where you want to eliminate shine if you want that kind of glowy look, because that's the area where you're going to look at it and think, I feel a bit sweaty. Everything else you can kind of get away with. Just because I've got a bit of texture, I'm going to calm that centre of the forehead down. I may just calm a tiny bit of that cheek down. And you see that now is like a level of glow I feel comfortable with. 9 minutes, okay. Speed things up a bit. Lovely, I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to take do we want really glow? I've got two options. I've got my Maccalister Drops, which are great to mix in or use alone, and they're kind of a sheer glow, or the Becca Absolute Megawatt Glow. I'm going to go with my Mac Drops. I'll show you the Becca ones in another video. They're both lovely. They just give slightly different finishes. And the reason I'm going to go for the Lustre Drops in this scenario is the Becca drops are incredible, but you look and you think, oh, that highlighter is lovely on that person. Whereas these Mac drops, I think it's just more of a, oh, that's a nice glow to the skin. And that is, I think, what I'm going for this morning. Tiny bit on the nose. I'm going to take a little bit of the excess under that brow bone. Lovely. Now I've got one of those two-part mascaras. I haven't used one of these in years, so I thought, yeah, we'll give that a go today. This is from Honest. I've got makeup all over it now. This is from Honest Beauty. This is Jessica Alba's beauty range. I've not tried anything before, so going in blind, and you get a little primer on one end and the mascara on the other end. So let's have a little look. In fact, do you know what I'll do? I'll use the primer on this side and not on that side, and then we can see. I'm going to prime the bottom as well. Now I'm just having a look. I know this sounds like madness, but I can see that I haven't set around those eyes properly with powder. And that's just going to make the mascara run. I'm even going to go up there a tiny bit, because I'm very prone to mascara running away on me. So I'm just going to lock everything in to minimise the risk. I'm going to let that primer sit, do this eye. Very nice so far, you know. Really, it's really separated the lashes. But like sometimes with those gentle separation ones, I'm a bit like, can we just build up a bit of colour here, please? But that is, yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll have a little look into this actually. I've got a feeling, don't quote me and I'll come back to you. I've got a feeling it's like a green brand. I'm sure I've read bits about it before, but I'll have a look and we'll have a play another time. Okay, I'm going in over the primer one now. Lovely. I can see a difference actually in like the depth of the root. I'm not sure if it's coming up here because it's a bit further away. But I would definitely see, I can see a difference. And considering you've got the primer on, there's still a nice separation, which doesn't often happen when you use those pre-ones. Do you remember the Bourgeois one that was black and white? I think everybody had that, didn't they? Okay, 1 more minute left. I'm going to use that same Tata Harper Cheek Tint on my lips. One time. One time. Oh, he'll go mad that I'll tell you this. I'm not telling you which person. One of my family members, we were going somewhere, we were in the airport, and I was waiting for me, you know, when you put all your toiletries in a clear bag and you wait for your stuff to come out, and someone's toiletry bag came out and it had Tata Harper skincare in it, like loads of wicked stuff, loads of my favourite things, and I was really waiting thinking, who is the person that's got this bag, because me and them are just so completely aligned, clearly, and it was my cousin. Anyway, that is my makeup done for the day. Nice and glowy. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I'll be speaking to you. If you want to know anything about what I've done today, or you've got any general questions, just feel free to send me a message. All right, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.